Welcome back. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We have a green day across the board today. So let's take a look at what's going on and with Bitcoin and the markets. So the Dow is up 500 points right now. We still have about 45 minutes to go till the closing. S&P is up 1.69%. The NASDAQ is up 2.2%. So the market is trying to make up for a little bit of downward action that we've seen here recently on the back of earnings. So earnings are telling the markets that things are not terribly bad right now. So that's what's giving the Fed the confidence to act aggressively. And on another note, interest rates are still rising due to the 10-year Treasury being up. Bonds are up. The 10-year is at 2.919 right now. So we haven't seen levels like that in a long time. So that is what is putting pressure on mortgage rates, and mortgage rates are over 5% now. So we are already starting to see the effects in the housing market. And right here, distressed sales are starting to happen and 9-figure discounts. Hard to sell mega mansions find a last resort at a real estate auction. Of course, I'm being facetious here, but generally the high-end luxury real estate is where it starts. And then you start to have second homes will start to feel the effects. Builders will start to feel the effects. So that's where the effects of high interest rates are seen first and foremost, is in the luxury market, second home market, investment property market, and home builders, because people that contract to buy a house that's under construction will contract it with one payment based on an interest rate when the project begins. And if rates are 2% higher on the back end, that can affect the value of a house, depending on the price point, by close to $75,000 to $100,000 in terms of what they can afford, depending on how much they have to put down. So just something to keep an eye on. And of course, all eyes are still on the war in Ukraine and watching for escalation there and potential involvement by NATO if things get out of control. And markets will react to that definitely if things escalate there. So all eyes are on that. And then, of course, the Fed still hasn't done anything yet. They are starting to come out and kind of give some indications of what they might do at their next meeting. So we will have to wait and see what they actually do. So let's take a look at the charts. And this is the hourly that we're looking at. If you look at the Dow Jones, nice little rebound here, kind of bouncing along in a range right now, ranging sideways. NASDAQ had a nice little relief bounce here from the last couple of days of downward action. S&P looking the same. And of course, here's Bitcoin on the hourly. And Bitcoin is working to unwind this recent move here and retrace this entire move, but it's finding a little bit of resistance there at the 41,007, 41,006, 41,007 mark. We'll have to wait and see if it gets over it. And of course, all the major altcoins are following the exact same price action as Bitcoin. So a lot of algorithmic formulas at play here, automated trading happening right now, manipulating the price, which is, it is what it is. So you just need to understand these patterns and the patterns of manipulation so you can stay ahead of the trade. And a lot of long squeezing and short squeezing, long covering, short covering going on here with these big spikes. So let's take a look at it on the daily. And you can see yesterday we had Bitcoin had a nice rebound yesterday. It was touching the lows at 38.5 and it bounced back to 41.54. So that was a nice little rebound yesterday and continuing that upward momentum today. Let's take a look at the moving averages. And right now we are above, Bitcoin is above the 100-day moving average, trying to hang on to that. So we'll have to see how that rolls into the close. Then the next test is going to be the 50-day moving average, still well below the 200-day moving average, which ultimately, to get back into a bull market uptrend, the price has to get over that 200-day moving average. So that's when Bitcoin has been in a bull market, when it's been above all major moving averages, but especially that 200-day, then the 100, then the 50. And again, we've looked at where we've seen this price action before, where Bitcoin has lost the 50 and the 100, came back, played with that 100-day moving average, and then what happened after that. So let's take a look in the past. right here where Bitcoin found support on the 100, went back above the 200, stayed above it for a while, continuation. Bitcoin played with that 100-day moving average right here and ultimately went up above the 200 again. But right here where Bitcoin loses that 100-day and goes down and checks the 200 after that, kind of this area right here, lost the 50, bounced off the 100, plays with the 50, loses the 100. And then what we've been tracking especially is back here in 2017, 2018, bear market cycle in Bitcoin, where right in this area where Bitcoin kind of plays with that 100-day moving average, drops below, pops up above, finds support, rises up, finds rejection at the 200, eventually rolls down, bounces off the 50, and plays with that 50-100 range, and then ultimately goes down, comes back, checks the 100, pops up above it, checks the 200, and goes back and loses it again for more downward action. So this is the kind of price action, a little different, as this was ultimately a downward trend setting lower lows on each of these major drops. The difference is right now, Bitcoin is continuing to set higher lows off of each of these actions right now. So that is one encouraging sign about the area that we're in right now, with price not wanting to give up those major levels. The weekly is the only thing that is concerning, because price is still below the midline of the Gaussian channel on the weekly. And whenever price stays below the midline, it always goes to check that bottom line down below it, which is your buying opportunity historically in Bitcoin every time it's lost that major moving average like that. I clicked the wrong button here. Hang on, let me reset this chart and go back. There we go. So we'll go look at this Gaussian channel here where price loses that midline, goes down, breaks below, and that's generally the area where you're going to want to be buying Bitcoin in the long run each time. So let's take a look at the moving averages here, close the Gaussian channel and look at it on the weekly. And whenever Bitcoin goes down and loses that 100 on the weekly again, it goes down and checks the 200 week moving average and finds support there. So right now we got to see if it's going to continue to find support on that 100 week moving average, and ultimately where price will end up in the long run. So that's where we are at with Bitcoin right now, and the things that I'm looking at ultimately on Bitcoin in terms of whether or not it can hold this consistent price action. And like I said, one of the things that is boding positive for Bitcoin and looking good for Bitcoin is the fact that it's putting in, that's on the weekly, it's still putting in these higher higher lows on the weekly, just like it is on the daily. In this price action, it's still consistently putting in higher lows versus back in the time frame that we were looking at in 2017, when it was putting these lower lows in 2017, 2018 bear market. This channel here that we've been tracking, Bitcoin is continuing to put in these higher lows. So that is one thing that's kind of encouraging. It's, it did come back and put a lower low in, based on this higher low the other day on the 11th, but it has been bouncing up and down, trying to decide if it's going to continue on from here and test the top of this channel again, which would be around that 48,000, 49,000 range. So we'll just have to wait and see if we get continuation. And of course, we'll look at this parallel channel that we've been kind of following here, that price has been playing with right in this area down to, and I've been tracking the closes here, not exactly parallel with this bottom line of the channel right there. It kind of gets out of whack a little bit, but if price bounces back up here, that's 49,000 range, 48,700, 49,000 range. And of course, it's found support each time on the lower level of this channel, which is right around that 39, 38,500, $39,000 range. So we'll have to see if price is going to continue on in this channel and just kind of work its way up, and then work its way down, work its way up, and just continue to follow that as price continues to rise sideways, and look for further continuation as we move along here. So these are the things that I'm looking at right now in the markets and with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So we'll just have to see how price continues to react, if it can continue to find support on the bottom of that channel, And if it can get back above that 100-day to ultimately find out if we're going to get rejected at 200-day or get above the 200-day moving average again, which is also the critical moving average for all of the indices and for all the individual stocks. That 200-day moving average is a critical support level that we want to see everything get back above to continue the uptrend. But the Fed has a big task at hand with inflation running as hot as it is and as high as it is. So they're going to have to act, and they're going to have to act big. So we'll have to see what the effects of that looks like as we get into the month of May. And I will see you on the next video.